Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning to you all. Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to welcome all of you to the final round of Tan Sri Datuk Sri Paduka, Dr. Abdul Rahman Arshad Challenge Trophy English Language Debate Competition for Batu Pahat District. And for this year, we are having it on online platform. For your information, ladies and gentlemen, this is our first year of conducting the debate on virtual platforms due to the pandemic. So we took this part of ourselves to be a part of the debate. Okay, let me introduce the speakers for today. The government team represented by the first affirmative speaker. Let's welcome Nurul Danisha Durani binti Muhammad Syukur. Can you say hi to the viewers, Nurul Danisha?
Hello, my name is Sundan Shadrani and I'm from the IGS, and today I will be the first speaker of the government team.
Okay, and we also have the second affirmative, Divya Lata anak perempuan Sasi Kumar.
Hello everyone.
Okay, thank you Divya. And the third affirmative speaker, Ashley Ann anak perempuan Matthews.
Hello everyone.
Okay, thank you very much Ashley. And representing SMK Tinggi Batu Pahat, the first speaker of opposition, Muhammad Shazwan Khairunizam.
Good morning, everyone.
Okay, good morning, Shazwan. The second opposition is Chua Pei Ting.
Good morning, everyone.
And the third affirmative, we have Sanjay Kumar anak lelaki Sasi Kumar.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
Okay, thank you so much, Sanjay. And we also have reserves for TIGS. We have Calist, Lim Yan Mei, and also Irdina Danisha binti Muhammad Fauzi watching us on YouTube. And for High School Batu Pahat, we have Jared Liu and Desmond Teo Jing En. All right, thank you so much for being with us today. On behalf of the House, I extend a special welcome to our adjudicators. The first adjudicator for today is our chief adjudicator. Let's welcome Mr. Hanif bin Noor Azhar.
Hello.
All right. How are you, Mr. Hanif?
Good.
Good. All right. And then together with us, we also have Puan Suziana binti Muhammad. Hi, Cikgu Suziana. How are you? Okay.
Hello,
And then, okay, right. And then we also have Mr. Azhar bin Abdul Jalil.
Hi.
Okay, you look good there. And then we also have Siti Sarah binti Kamaruddin. Miss Sarah, are you there? Oh, okay, the camera is off, but I think she's there. And then the last one, we have Miss Nur Faizah binti Zailani. Hello, Miss Nur Faizah, how are you?
I'm good.
Okay, good. Right. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are the line of judges that we have for today. And for your information, all of them are very well experienced in this debate arena. Some have judged national level debate, and some are actively involved in coaching debate teams of universities and colleges. Okay, so welcome everyone. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Shamira and your speaker of the house for today, and I am also the timekeeper for today. All right, before we begin, I would like to read a few important rules of today's debate. So, the debaters will have 8 minutes in which to deliver their remarks and 4 minutes in delivering your reply speech. Third, debaters from both teams shall not introduce any new arguments. Their role is to rebut the opponent and to defend the position of the team. While a debater is speaking, the opposing team can offer points of information. The debater may accept or decline them. After all debaters have spoken once, the first or second debater of each team gives a reply speech, with the opposition reply speech being delivered first, followed by the government. The timekeeper will ring the bell once after the first minute. So let me just sound my bell first so that you know this is the sound of the bell. Okay, can you hear that?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now, and then I will also sound the bell at the end of 7 minutes to signal the time allocated for point of information has ended. At the end of the 8 minute, the bell will be rung twice. A maximum time of 3 minutes will be given to both teams to prepare for the reply speech. During the reply speech, the timekeeper will ring the bell once at the third minute to signal that the debater has 1 minute left. At the end of the fourth minute, the bell will be rung twice to signal the end of the debate. Okay, to all the debaters, you are not allowed to switch off the camera at any time. All right, leave your camera on at all time. Okay, so are you ready?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
very good. Now, without further ado, I would like to call the first government. Before we start, the motion for today's debate is this House regrets the rise of social media influences. I repeat, this House regrets the rise of social media influences. So without further ado, I would like to call the first affirmative. Let's welcome Nurul Danisha Durrani binti Muhammad Syukur.
All right. Good morning, I bid to the Speaker of the House, honorable adjudicators, teachers, esteemed timekeepers, my gracious teammates, and my most worthy opponents. The motion for today's debate is this House regrets the rise of social media influencers. We as the government team strongly and wholeheartedly agree with the motion for today's debate. Firstly, allow me to present the government's definition of the keywords. Regret means to feel unhappy or sorry about a situation. The rise is defined as the process of becoming very famous, powerful, and popular. Social media influencer is an online user who has established credibility in a specific field, has access to a huge audience, and can persuade others to act based on their recommendations. Therefore, in this debate, we are discussing about the consequences brought about by the fame, popularity, and power of social media influencers. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce the stand of the government team for today, which is the negative impacts brought about by the power social media influencers have over its followers far outweigh the positive ones. I shall now specify the roles of each speaker. As the first speaker, I have firstly defined the keywords, and secondly, I have presented the government stand. After this, I will show you why we regret the rise of social media influencers by bringing forth the government's first point. Our second speaker shall rebut the first speaker of the opposition team, deliberate, if necessary, ready to agree with their definitions, and present the government's second and third point. Our third speaker shall dispel all false depositions brought forth by the opposition. Without further ado, I shall now present the government's first point for today's debate, which is the success of social media influencers has churned out lots of unethical social media influencers within a short amount of time. Influencer marketing is on the rise. Based on a benchmark report on influencer marketing carried out by Influencer Marketing Hub, the leading social media resource for brands, recent figures indicate that the value of social media marketing has doubled from 6.5 billion to 13.8 billion US dollars in just 3 years. Many brands have increasingly shifted their advertising budgets and marketing strategies to the online and social media space. From a mere 190 influencer marketing focused agencies and influencer platforms in 2015, the number grew steadily each year till it reached 1,360 in 2020. With this exponential growth rate of influencer marketing and the huge success of social media influencers, many more wannabe influencers are sprouting, eager to chip in on this lucrative industry and make quick bucks. In order to gain the attention of potential sponsors and brands, these wannabe influencers must score their followings and portray themselves as accomplished, influential, and famous. They are able to do this by employing misleading tricks and tactics to create follow-worthy social content. The most common tactics used included buying followers, likes, and comments from click farms. In fact, as ridiculous as it sounds, ladies and gentlemen, there's even a documentary called Fake Famous, which has proven exactly how easy it can be to turn ordinary people like you and me into a famous online influencer. The documentary has shown how marketers were deceived by these fake influencers who were set up by the producers for the program. People can easily use filters and clever camera angles to take fake, yet convincing photos of them, leading accomplished and fabulous lifestyles. They utilize apps and websites to create fake vacation photos for social media. They can also purchase follower farms and bots in order to inflate their importance. People fall for this facade easily as it is difficult for the average user to distinguish between real and fake followers. A company named Devime used multiple websites to sell fake followers to more than 200,000 customers, including many well-known celebrities and politicians. According to the director of the program, Fake Famous, the bot followers are created by hackers and programmers who write code that scour the internet to steal countless random identities by pilfering people's photos, names, and bios. These people fake all expenses paid free camping trips so that later they can get a real free all expense paid camping trip.
UI?
Yes, please.
Yes. So, for example, a lot of social media platforms like Instagram and Twitter, they have algorithms suited to removing fake followers and fake likes and stuff like that. So when a certain influencer experiences a sharp decline, it is clear that they have used bots and they are exposed. So
Okay, thank you.
when this exposure happens a lot,
Thank you.
isn't it like already resolved?
Okay. The system isn't perfect. There are many videos, posts, and bots that can slip away and go undetected by the algorithm. And let me remind you that even though these bots and fake followers are removed, this does not deny the fact that these influencers are buying the said fake followers. Let me continue. A study by Hype Auditor found that more than 55% of Instagram influencers were involved in some sort of social media fraud and fakery in 2020. A new study also found 45% of Instagram accounts were fake. This shows how far people are willing to fake it till you make it. They employ a variety of strategies to deceive followers and brands alike into believing that they are more accomplished and famous than they actually are. Unbelievably, companies and brands fall for their tricks and endorsement offers start to trickle in. Potential customers would then buy the endorsed products, believing it is credible and trustworthy. When irresponsible influencers are finally exposed as frauds, not only will credible companies associated with them suffer for major losses, followers who trusted them may even be harmed by the shoddy products endorsed by them. In their chase for quick gains, these wannabe influencers become irresponsible and selfish. In this industry where so many are competing for a piece of the pie, how many are able to maintain and abide by their own principles? A prime example of influencer marketing that was fueled by selfish and materialistic desires would be the Fire Festival, which was a music festival promoted by social media influencers, including renowned celebrities like Kendall Jenner and Hailey Baldwin. Hype and stimulation of demand was used to gain attention and sales instead of focusing on customer satisfaction. In the end, attendees paid thousands of dollars to attend a poorly organized event simply because it had garnered undue hype on social media. All in all, in order to make quick gains and outshine competitors, an increasing amount of social media influencers are willing to go as far as to abandon their moral and ethical obligations. The bottom line is, frauds and misleading promotional activities cannot be eradicated completely. With the rise of social media influencers, they will only get more sophisticated and imperceptible from here on out. Before I take my seat, I would like to reaffirm the government's stand for today's debate, which is the negative impacts brought about by the power social media influencers have over its followers far outweigh the positive ones. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The first affirmative. Now we shall continue the debate by calling the first opposition, Mr. Muhammad Shazwan Khairunizam.
Thank you, Madam Speakers. A very good morning to the honorable adjudicators, accurate timekeepers, representative of the government, and members of the floor. We, as the opposition, strongly disagree with today's motion as we believe that the rise of social media influencers should not be regretted and regarded as a threat, but rather as a dynamic and effective approach in imparting and disseminating information or ideology through the various platforms of social media available today. Therefore, the rise of social media influences must not, I repeat, must not be regretted, but should be encouraged instead. Before I proceed with my first point, let me first delve into the keywords of today's motion, which is influencer. The word influencer, as defined in Cambridge Dictionary, is someone who affects or changes the way that other people behave. And according to Collins Dictionary, an influencer is someone who is able to persuade, I repeat, persuade a lot of other people on social media to do, buy, use, or use the same thing that they do, and they are paid or given free products in exchange for doing this. Merriam-Webster defines influencer as someone who is inspire or guides the action of others. The word persuade, inspire, and guides. Ladies and gentlemen, none of them are suggesting the act of forcing, pressurizing, or compelling. Hence, why should the House regret the rise of social media influencers and see them as a threat? Ladies and gentlemen, as the first speaker of the opposition, I would like to enlighten you on the wonders gained with the rise of social media influencers from social awareness perspective. My second colleague will convince you on how the rise of social media influencers benefit economic growth and that they should not be blamed on any societal issues. Finally, the third speaker will summarize the idea put forward and perhaps to clarify the doubts and misunderstanding that the government may have. Ladies and gentlemen, I shall now present my point, which is the rise of social media influencers has significantly increased the awareness concerning societal issues among the public, especially the youngsters who are ardent social media users. The last few decades have shown tremendous increase in the growth of social media users, indicating vital role of social media in today's lifestyle. A survey conducted in 2019 reported that more than 3 billion people actively use social media. Hence, social media platform with the help from the influencers can be a powerful tool to inspire and educate the public on various social issues. Ladies and gentlemen, let's touch on the perception of mental issues in our society. Mental issues are often seen as a stigma, an embarrassment, and discreetly discussed, especially in Malaysia. It is often associated with depression, instability of one's state of mind, or bluntly put as insane or crazy. Many refuse to speak openly about it as they refuse to be labeled as one. This misconception has run in many cultures and society. We too are not an exception. This fossilized misconception need to be rectified, and society has to accept this issue as a disease and not as embarrassment. Hence, to educate and change this negative perception requires someone who has the experience and most importantly able to handle this in a positive manner. This is when the social media influencers come in handy to be the saviors to educate the society. An American gymnast such as Simone Biles received widespread praise for bringing attention to mental health, dispelling the stigma that remains around the issue, highlighting the immense pressure put on athletes. Is that something not to be proud of rather than to be regretted? Now, let's talk about the power of influencers in the aspects of medical care. As everyone knows, we are dealing with a pandemic that has put us in quarantine since May 2021. Due to this virus plus the new variant, we have to be vaccinated as a measure to prevent ourselves from being affected. However, we have a small community who is against vaccination known as anti-vaxxers. And they have been propagating false ideas and information that tend to mislead the society about the vaccine. In addition to that, there are also some who believe that isn't even real. With that being said, a lot of influencers take the challenge to educate people on the importance of vaccination. Some of them also go to extent of donating money to help the community to be vaccinated. For example, Olivia Rodrigo, with 14 million followers, partnered up with the President of United States of America, Joe Biden, encouraging young society to get vaccinated. This once again shows that the rise of social media influencers have benefited the society and thus should not be regretted.
PY, please.
Yes, please.
Do you know that there is, according to a digital marketing manager, there is such a thing called influencer opportunism, where these influencers tend to view every part of their life as a piece of content or something that can make them popular among the society. So, how are you sure that these acts are genuine from these influencers?
Well, I would say if they do it for content, they also do it for the society. Like they also educate for the society. That does not mean that if you're do something for popularity, it doesn't affect the society. Thank you. Moving to my third example, which is the issue on body shaming, which is a new form of cyberbullying among youngsters, especially. According to bullying statistics, the organization, 94% of teenagers have been body shamed. They are subjected to toothless opinion and hurtful comments. Many influencers are also the victim of body shaming, and hence they are the right people to educate the public regarding this matter, as they have the real experience and understand the pain. Social media influencers and also TikTokers like Nabila Noor and Charlie D'Amelio use their platform to educate the public on their opinion to a curvy body and the struggle with anorexia and bulimia, which both falls under eating disorder. With this confession, a lot of youths who have similar experience feel more confident to talk about it openly as they learn to love themselves. Again, is this something regrettable? To conclude, I must say that the rise of social media influencers is indeed a blessing as they serve as a role model to the society in promoting awareness, imparting information, and encouraging the society to speak up for their rights. Their rights must be supported and never be regretted. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The second speaker of the opposition. Now I would like to call the second speaker of the government. Please welcome Divyalata, anak perempuan Sasi Kumar.
A very good morning I bid to the Speaker of the House, honorable adjudicators, esteemed timekeepers, my gracious teammates, my most worthy opponents, and last but not least, members of the floor. The motion for today's debate is, this House regrets the rise of social media influences. We, the government, strongly and wholeheartedly agree with today's motion. As the second speaker of the government, allow me to rebut the points given by the first speaker of the opposition. The opposition's first point is the rise of social media influences has significantly increased social media issues. They mentioned that social media influencers help to increase awareness on social issues and encourage the society to speak up for their rights. However, ladies and gentlemen, we, the government, we do not deny that social media influencers, they have an impact on spreading awareness on social issues, and they can help to educate the society on issues such as mental health. However, most of the contents posted on social media are not aimed to spread awareness. As the number of social media influencers continue rising, there's going to be more and more influencers who indirectly promote negativity through their content. Moreover, there are many influencers who portray an unrealistic lifestyle, which leads to psychological problems among followers, which I'll further explain in my third point. I shall now move on to the counter arguments. The government's first point is the success of social media influences has churned out lots of unethical influences. The opposition did not show us why the success of social media influences has not churned out lots of unethical influences. Thus, our point stands strong. I shall now move on to the government's second point for today, which is Social media influencers indirectly instill a negative culture among followers. As my first speaker has shown, the social media influencer marketing industry is huge. Therefore, the number of social media users who are watching all the tweets, posts, and videos posted by the influencers is also huge. According to the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, statistics show that 90% of teenagers are social media users. This means that a large majority of teenagers are exposed to both the positive and negative content available on social media. A lot of extreme, dangerous, irresponsible, and downright immoral pranks have been posted by these influencers. Influencers like David Dobrik, Logan Paul, and Onision have even committed various acts such as sexual harassment and verbal bullying in their posts. Some influencers use derogatory names and remarks.
Huan,
However, yes,
don't you feel like it is the responsibility of the parents or guardians of the teenager or the kid to regulate what they're watching, to be able to control them and prevent them from watching this type of content?
okay, let me remind you of the motion for today's debate. This House regrets the rise of social media influences. We are not here to discuss whether the parents should regulate their teenagers' activity. It's a fact that 90% of teenagers are social media users. However, all these posts have been taken with a pinch of salt. Both influencers and followers don't take these negative posts seriously. Moreover, based on our human nature, are we more attracted to positive or negative content? Which would you watch? A cruel prank that has been viewed more than 1 million times, or a goodwill message that has maybe 100 views? Frequent continuous viewing of irresponsible posts by influencers has slowly but surely left its mark on society. Making meaningless pranks just for the sake of being popular has become normalized by society. Some people are becoming immune to these acts and are slowly accepting such behaviors. Some are laughing at the sadistic acts. Some followers even copied such acts. Therefore, the irresponsible acts by influencers have set the wrong standard of behavior, especially among the young and impressionable, subsequently instilling a negative culture among them. This does not happen overnight, but is slowly and surely worming its way from the online world to real life. Let me move on to my third point, which is the tendency of social media influencers to portray an unrealistic lifestyle leads to psychological problems among followers. It is our innate nature as humans to look up to those who are successful and accomplished, hoping to emulate them and live a better life. Similarly, it is also natural for us to compare ourselves with those who are accomplished in order to measure where we stand. As a result, social media influencers who are regarded as successful and post about their lifestyles with great power over their followers, whom will try to achieve the high standards set by their idols and those they follow. This becomes a problem when influencers on social media portray unreasonable, unrealistic, and exaggerated lifestyles and expectations. In particular, unrealistic beauty standards in the form of Photoshop celebrities or stick thin fashion models can cause people to have a negative body image of themselves if they are not as skinny and attractive as the influencers. The 24/7 circulation of easily viewable, manipulated images on social media by influencers promotes and entrenches unrealistic expectations of how young people should look and behave. When these expectations are inevitably not met, the impact on self esteem and image can be damaging. The Royal Society of Public Health recently found that 9 in 10 young females said that they are unhappy with the way they look. Increased social comparison is the most powerful reason why social media has been linked with increased anxiety and depressive symptoms. The problem is made worse when influencers promote unsafe dieting practices or apotheosize a certain level of fitness. Followers will try to imitate the purportedly effective dieting practices and fitness routine in order to lose weight and feel better about themselves. But at what cost? Physical illness, eating disorders such as anorexia nervosa and bulimia nervosa, and mental health issues such as low self esteem, increased insecurities, depression, and anxiety. Besides, influencers who frequently post and flaunt their lavish lifestyles on social media are likely to encourage rampant narcissism, vanity, and materialism among followers. A project called Inequilibrium looked at 7.5 million Instagram posts shared in Manhattan in 2014 and concluded that wealthy neighborhoods were dramatically overrepresented in posts. In conclusion, social media influencers who portray an unrealistic, unreasonable, and exaggerated lifestyle damages the mental well-being of followers by promoting unreasonable expectations. Before I take my seat, allow me to reaffirm the government's stand for today, which is the negative impacts brought about by the power social media influencers have over its followers far outweigh the positive ones. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The second speaker of the government. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to call the second speaker of the opposition, Chua Pei Ting. Please welcome.
Regret is unnecessary, and we must not regret our biggest achievements. Salutations, I bid to the Speaker of the House, honorable judges, timekeepers, and members of the floor. Two things I would prove in my speech. The first is that the rise of social media influencers bring more advantages than disadvantages under the context of encouraging economic growth. Second of all, by regretting on the rise of social media influencers is not going to better solve societal issues such as misinformation, self-esteem issues, scams, and misleading information as proposed by the government. Before I continue, allow me to make a rebuttal. The government claimed that social media influencers would instill negative culture, would instill negative values, and influence them, and cause misinformation among social media users. Yes, it's true that there are influencers out there spreading the wrong information, spreading the wrong message. However, they only represent a small minority of the many
Right, please.
influencers on the platform. Yes.
The opposition is putting words into our mouths. We never mentioned that social media influencers they spread misinformation.
But indirectly, you're saying that they're causing misinformation. Indirectly, you are influencing them to think in a way that is wrong. That is misinformation. That is deceiving the public. Yes, and continuing with my points. However, these influencers, bad influencers, only represent a small minority of the many influencers on the platform. And even if they have a massive following like Kendall Jenner, we as the social media users still have our freedom of choice, freedom of discretion to determine whether or not we should agree with them. Every
Your Eye,
individual
please.
No, thank you. Every individual has a filter of their own. We can control and process the information that we are receiving. And if the government were to argue that certain users would willingly believe their influences no matter what, it is the burden still lies with the parents and educators to guide them at a tender age so that they are equipped with the skills to think independently. We believe that there is no need to violate the freedom of speech of social media influencers in this context. And also, the government also condemned that social media influencers share their personal life as their content. We, as the opposition, believe that what the government is proposing will only violate the freedom of speech of social media influencers to express themselves, to share what they believe that it is normal, that is okay with them, and to express their own opinions. And at the same time, their claims also underestimate the ability of social media influencers to think independently like a normal person. Besides, embracing different influences to express themselves, it encourages discussions and dialogues between communities of different opinions. We will manage to meet up with each other and eventually discuss and find the grounds that we all can agree on. This raises the awareness on the topic discussed in the public eye, which was elaborated by my first speaker. Now, moving on to my arguments, second branch under the advantage advantages brought by social media influencers encouraging economic growth. Amidst this COVID-19 pandemic, physical businesses are unable to operate, and shop owners have no choice but to accept the transition, which is e-commerce. That is why online businesses and advertisements have become the norm in our society ever since. Social media influencers would act as endorsers, helping large and small and medium enterprises to promote quality products to their potential buyers. According to Advertising and Popular Culture by Jip Files, 7 out of 10 buyers, consumers have the tendency to buy a quality and a trusted product if it was endorsed by their favorite influencer. This creates a win-win situation for all sides, as the audiences will have the exposure to quality brands in the market while allowing online businesses to thrive, with social media influencers also gaining benefits and commissions in the process. Now, the government may argue that there are scams and misinformation from ads. However, such problems can be mitigated with the help of law enforcement. According to the Communications and Multimedia Act 1998, the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission, MCMC, have registered the MCMC content code, which was meant for providing clear and up-to-date guidelines to ensure continued reliable standards of advertisements. The code prohibits content that is indecent, obscene, false, menacing, or offensive in character with the intent to annoy, abuse, threaten, or harass any person. Besides, the code also makes strong emphasis on the advertisement's truthfulness so that it is not framed as to abuse the trust of the consumer or to exploit his or her act of experience or knowledge in the field. Thus, claims made by the government saying that social media influencers are unable to maintain their moral compasses in order to survive in this ever in this competitive industry, that is not true, because there are a lot of enforcements out there taking these irresponsible influencers accountable. Besides, every omission or neglect to comply with and every action done or attempted to be done contrary to the act is an offense against this act. The offender shall be liable to a fine not exceeding 100 ringgit or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 2 years or both. Now, moving on to my second argument, by regretting the rise of social media influencers is not going to better solve societal issues such as misinformation, scams, and body negativity. The government is targeting on the wrong spot. They are targeting social media influencers and their rise, which is wrong. Social media influencers are not the main factors of such societal phenomena, but the human nature is. And it's everywhere, not just on social media. Like what the second speaker of the government have said, we have the nature of people looking up to those who are more successful than us. We have the nature of comparing ourselves with others, resulting in self-esteem issues. We have the nature of human greed and irresponsibility to cause chaos in the society, and we have the nature of humans' intention to deceive others, which is currently being done by the government to brainwash the judges and members of the floor. What the House should see is that we should solve the root cause of societal problems, not targeting the people who are just trying to earn a living via social media. For instance, alcohol is used for medical and drug consuming purposes. However, when misused, it causes domestic violence, drunk driving, and other societal issues. My question is, should we blame the rise of alcohol usages, or should we blame the nature that certain humans would misuse it for nefarious purposes? We should identify the root cause of the problem first before coming up with a more mature approach to resolve it. Therefore, we as the opposition strongly disagree that this House should regret the rise of social media influencers. I'm proud to propose.
Thank you very much. The second speaker of the opposition. Now I call upon the third speaker of the government. Please welcome Ashley Ann Matthews.
A very good morning, I bid to the Speaker of the House, honorable adjudicators, esteemed timekeeper, my most gracious teammates, my most worthy opponents, and last but not least, members of the Hall. So the motion for today's debate is this House regrets the rise of social media influencers, and we as the government strongly and wholeheartedly agree with the motion for today's debate. Now, today I as the third speaker would like to rebut all the false depositions brought forth by the opposition team, and later I would like to defend the government team's points. Their first point for today is that social media influencers raise awareness among the audience of social media. Ladies and gentlemen, according to a digital marketing manager, Mike Metzler, Jake, allow me to give you this example so you get it clearly. Jake Paul, a YouTuber with over 20 million subscribers on his YouTube account, entered the Arizona Mall during when there was a looting occurring at the Arizona Mall. He entered the mall just to get footage to post on his YouTube account, and he received backlash from the community because of that. And a digital marketing manager, Mike Metzler, he categorized this behavior as influencer opportunism. He mentioned that when you are an influencer and making content is your job, you can begin to view every piece of your life as a possible piece of content, as something that can make you popular. And he also mentioned that this behavior is not new in this industry. So there are influencers, popular influencers, who are taking advantage of these situations. Secondly, this does not deny the fact that the negative consequences brought forth by the social media influencers outweigh the positive ones. They also mentioned, in their first point, they also mentioned that influencers can help with mental issues and body shaming. However, ladies and gentlemen, a Norwegian research on global influencers revealed that 47% of surveyed influencers, which is nearly half of them, felt that their job as an influencer had a negative impact on their mental health, and it gave a negative impact on their body image. Even among the influencers, these people receive a negative impact on their body image because of being in this industry. Now, the second point, and also 90%, a study by University of Glasgow revealed that 90% of the information based on nutrition revealed by these influencers is inaccurate, and 60% of teenagers tend to follow what these influencers say, and therefore, as proven in our third point, this does affect their body image and mental issues. Yes.
Yes, so that research was done, I agree, and it was exposed to the public. So now it is exposed to the public. We know that it's false. We know that we
Thank you. So, are you agreeing with us that these people do in fact behave unethically and cause negative impact on the body image? You're asking us to change, not asking them to change. Thank you. Their second point for today is that the social media influencers encourage economic growth. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to clarify this. We are not denying that these people encourage economic growth, but it brings us back to our first point for today. At what cost? These people are becoming frauds, buying fake followers, faking ads, in order to be popular, in order to be recognized by these brands, and in order to receive a sponsorship. But at what cost? These people are frauds. So the opposition is being okay that the economy of the country is being grown by frauds. You're bringing frauds into the society, scammers into the society. The opposition seems to be fine with that. And they mentioned that there would be law enforcement to reduce this problem. Again, are you agreeing with us that we should fix ourselves and not allow the influencers to fix themselves? You're agreeing with us that these influencers are unethical. And according to the FTC, less than 15% of these influencers post according to the regulations set by them. Less than 15%. Their third point for today is that targeting these influencers won't solve the issue. They mentioned that we should target the main root of the issue. So again, ladies and gentlemen, are you agreeing with us? Is the opposition agreeing with us that these people do in fact cause unethical problems, but instead of focusing on them, we should try and change ourselves? So they are causing the negative impacts that they bring, the negative consequences, do far outweigh the positive ones, but that's just what focus on them. Is that what you're saying, ladies and gentlemen? You're not denying that these people are unethical. Thank you for agreeing with us with our first point. Thank you for strongly agreeing with us. I shall now move on to defending the government's points. Our first point for today is that the success of social media influencers has churned out lots of unethical social media influencers in a short amount of time. Now, to this, they didn't properly rebut our point, and they only mentioned that even though this affect the way people behave, we should change ourselves. So again, you're agreeing with us that they are unethical. Thank you. And they also mentioned that these bots can be removed during one of their PUIs. Ladies and gentlemen, these bots can easily go undetected. These companies are growing way more creative to create bots that slip past the system, because these bots are something that is necessary for these influencers. It's something that these influencers search for. And also, it has been proven by Hype Auditor, as mentioned by my first speaker, 55% of these accounts are fake. And Kim Kardashian still has 44% of fake followers, yet nothing has been done. Our second point for today is that social media influencers indirectly instill negative culture among the followers. They mentioned that parents should regulate what they watch and control them. Does that deny that these people are instilling negative culture? No. They also mentioned that it is true that there are people spreading negative culture, but it's a minority. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to remind you, many of these influencers result to making content such as pranks and challenges because of the negative bias that we have, and we are attracted to these. So they are not a minority, and these people are popular. They have a bigger coverage over the audience of social media, thus a larger influence. Our third point for today is that the tendency of social media influencers to portray an unrealistic lifestyle leads to psychological problems among followers. Now, they mentioned that we are violating the freedom of these people to speak and express themselves. No, we are not. Please do not put words into our mouth. We are not saying that these people can't post. We are not saying that these people can't express themselves on social media, but the mass influence that they have over these people, it affects them, and these people are defining perfectionism on these social media platforms. These people are causing demolishing the post that the negative consequences brought by these people. They are demolishing the self-esteem that the audience of social media have. And before I take my seat, I would like to reaffirm the government's stand for today, which is the negative impacts brought about by the power social media influencers have over its followers far outweigh the positive ones. And with that, I thank you.
Thank you, Ashley, the third speaker of the government. So, ladies and gentlemen, I call upon the third opposition. Please welcome Sanjay Kumar, anak lelaki Sasi Kumar.
Character building begins in our infancy and continues until death. Salutations I bear to the Speaker of the House, the honorable judges, the fair timekeeper, my comrades debating alongside me today, my opponents, whom I very much respect, and of course the members of the floor. First of all, I'd like to remind everyone of the motion today, which is this House regrets the rise of social media influencers. And that is a stance which I 100% fundamentally disagree with. I believe there is no need for much regret, as more good has been done than harm. So while my task as the third
Excuse
speaker
me.
of today,
Sorry, opposition three. I think there's a fan near you, is it?
yeah, it's turned on.
No, because it's quite disturbing. I cannot listen to you properly.
Please give me a minute.
Shamira, can you try to turn off your mic for a while? Oh, it's not her. No, it's the third speaker.
Is it better right now?
Okay, wait a minute now. We're going to mute
I
everyone.
I can still hear some noise. Not sure from which speaker.
Is
Can
it from
everyone
government one?
just government one? Can you please turn off your mic? Oh yeah, it's hers.
Okay, it's government one. Okay,
Okay.
but government one, you want to UI, you can turn on your mic and then you turn it off again. Okay. For now, can you turn it off first? Okay. Opposition three, can you try to speak now?
Okay, sure. All right.
We
So
will
I'd like to
we will
continue.
begin. No. We will start again. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Character building begins in our infancy and continues until death. Salutations I bid to the Speaker of the House, the honorable judges, the fair timekeeper, my comrades debating alongside me today, the opponents whom I very much respect, and of course, the members of the floor. First of all, I'd like to remind everyone of today's motion, which is this House regrets the rise of social media influences. And that is a stance which I 100% fundamentally disagree with. I believe there is no need for much regret, as more good has been done than harm. My first task as the third speaker is to rebut the points of the government team, and I'm also in charge of defending the points of my comrades. First of all, I'd like to rebut the point of the first speaker of the government team, in which he stated that these influencers encourage unethical marketing. They buy like and comment bots and they become famous, which I don't deny. It's true. It's clear. Only a fool would deny it. But the only reason we actually know about this is because they've been exposed. These exposures give us the thought that, you know what, these guys are not the saints that we think they are. They are shady behind the scenes. They are not one to be looked up at. And we are ignoring all the other influencers who are genuine, the majority. And when I POI her, she
PY,
replied that
please.
they will. Yes?
Research has proven that 2/3 of these social media influencers are frauds. Therefore, how do you categorize them as minorities?
I should have researched is true. Well, minority or majority, there is still, I repeat, a big amount of influencers, the actual genuine ones. And let's be honest, most of the bigger ones that are genuine, that try to use social media through ethical means. And let's be honest, 33% is still a big number. And following the POI of the government team of Speaker 1, in which they stated they will still buy likes and comment bots. They don't care. But again, they have been exposed. And us, the followers, we know. For example, 55% of Justin Bieber's followers are fake. And people have acknowledged that. We know Bieber's shady behavior. We know it is already imprinted everywhere. And to rebut the point of the second speaker, in which more and more people will portray a negative lifestyle as more influencers increase. Well, my friend, you have to look at the other side of the coin as well. More and more people will inspire positive lifestyle. We are in a world today where positivity is also increasing, where people are smiling more. And it is a time to share that positivity. And I PUI'd her, and she replied me that by regulating, by parents looking after the kids, it's not going to change anything because the motion talks about influences. But how about this? By actually regulating our kids, we can prevent the rise of negative influences. Trolls only respond when we feed them, and when they
Right,
lose
please.
half their fan base. Yes.
And that is why we regret the rise of social media influencers. You are saying that parents should regulate their activities. Why? Because the social media influencers, they instill negativity. They are unethical. That's why we
Yes, my
agree
friend.
with the motion.
I was going to talk about it. I was going to continue on it. So when trolls are fed, they respond. If trolls are not fed, they stay dormant. So the less negative influences are there, the better. And that's why there's no need for regret, because the less they are, the better. And the third speaker has stated that influencers are taking advantage of us as people. Ladies and gentlemen, again, it is the minority, or even if it's the majority, there is still a big percentage of genuine people. Most people with basic common sense, with an actual, conscious mind, they won't do this. And by the way, Jake Paul is actually diagnosed as a sociopath. So whatever he does, we know that it's not a good thing. And when I PUI, the third speaker of the government team, I was interrupted. I was not allowed to finish my sentence. So let me finish it now. So when they are exposed, we know that they are fraudulent. They are not worthy of being idolized. So I was not agreeing with your point. You just didn't let me finish my sentence. And I did not appreciate your use of the language, these influencers, putting all influencers, good or bad, in the same category. That was not a good move. I'm sorry. Moving on. My first speaker mentioned that influencers increase awareness among social issues. Ladies and gentlemen, social issues have the capability to revolutionize this world. To protect social issues is to protect people, especially racial or religious minorities. So many social issues were championed and fought for through social media. For example, Black Lives Matter in the United States, and even here at home, make schools a safer place. Those social media, those issues were championed, were spread, and all those awareness came from where? Social media.
UI, please.
I'm sorry, but no. Influencers played a big part in spreading these far and wide. We need to thank those good influencers, the majority, for doing so, because this world is changing for the better, and they are guiding that change. Besides that, like my first speaker also mentioned, they bring light to mental health. Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a sad world today. Even if it's happy, it's also sad. And certain people are well off than others. So for the not well off, they are being inspired by non-profits founded by influencers, such as 320 Changes Direction, founded by Talinda Bennington, an influencer who is the wife of the late Chester Bennington, lead singer of Linkin Park. You see, when Chester was alive, he used to write songs for his band, Linkin Park, with messages that inspired people against mental health diseases. I know, I'm a big fan of Linkin Park. And when Chester lost the battle, Chester succumbed to the battle that he helped so many beat. His wife took over the reins and continued his good work through social media. Are you denying that this kind of change is possible?
PY, please.
Sorry, but no. I would also like to my point of my second speaker, in which we have the choice to determine good and bad. Ladies and gentlemen, follow discretion. And I cannot stress this enough. It is very important, and thankfully, in school, we have subjects like moral or civic education, which help us differentiate from good and bad. And yes, we also have parents. I'm sure a lot of you right now watching this are parents. If your kids are watching social media, don't you think it is your responsibility to be able to regulate, to be able to know what they are watching, what type of content is being fed to them? It is your responsibility to be able to control your kids and to make them think independently for the better. Besides that, social media themselves are taking initiatives to deal with the rampant misinformation that their influences, the negative minority influences, are spreading. For example, certain right-wing political influences like Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro, they are notorious for spreading COVID and vaccine misinformation throughout last year and throughout this pandemic. So sites like Twitter, Facebook, they have taken the initiative to censor them, or at the very least, provide a blurb stating a warning at below the tweet or their message, saying indirectly to the people reading, no, this person is not worth listening to. Their opinions are dangerous, and you should think independently instead of listening to them. And through that independent thinking, it also encouraged discussion among people. When you have a question, who do you ask? Others. It encourages discussion and research. And when I say research, I don't mean some random pseudoscience website on the internet. I mean talking to actual professionals who know their trade. Through this way, we can help build our minds to educate ourselves and possibly educate others. And that's why I talked about character building just when I started the speech. And before I sit down, I would like to reaffirm the opposition stance, in which this house should not regret the rise of social media influencers. And with that, I thank you.
Thank you very much, the third opposition. Ladies and gentlemen, now that we have listened to all speakers from both teams, each team is given a 3 minute to prepare your reply speech. We'll be back after 3 minutes, yeah? Okay. Belum. Another 10 seconds. Okay, debaters, your preparation time is up. I now call upon the opposition speaker to present the opposition's reply speech. Please welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, we must not regret our biggest achievement as it is unnecessary, and it is also unnecessary to regret the rise of social media influencers. So now allow me to make further analysis on what this debate is all about and what we, the opposition, and they the government, has proven in their speeches. So now, opposition side, we have successfully proven to you that social media influencers provide more benefits than harms in our towards society. We've talked about awareness of spreading awareness on health, on social issues, on racism, and on positivity. That these awareness will help society to better see societal issues in a better way. And also we've also mentioned that social media influencers, oftentimes those who are characterized as bad social media influencers, are often exposed by social media users, or even by good social media influencers, for the sake of the awareness of the public. So social media influencers would call out these bad influencers, so that people in the public can know what is actually going on right now, and at the end of the day make the correct decision whether to trust or to not trust that particular influencer. And we also reiterated our stance that we, as the social media users, also have our freedom of choice and freedom of discretion to whether or not to agree or disagree with the social media influencers. Now the government is also putting words into our mouth, saying that we have no choice but to have to change ourselves because these social media influencers are so bad. Now I have to say it once more that this is untrue. We all have the freedom of speech, and we all have the freedom of choice to make our own choices. So I don't think it is true in for the government. And second of all, we have also proven that social media influencers also provide economic growth. And if the government and the government has been constantly been arguing that social media influencers would 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 use their voice to promote products that are unreliable. We have already given you examples that the government are regulating laws to prevent such influences from happening. Thus, we believe that we would take this debate. And what the government is also doing in their previous speeches is just exaggerating the problem that is caused by only some influencers, while generalizing and ignoring the fact that there are way more influencers out there, good influencers out there, spreading the correct message. And also they've come up with statistics on there are more bad social media influencers than good. We believe that we our question is, how far do you think that it's true that these researchers are reliable and true, given that you're in your world, that you believe that there are people out there spreading negative values, spreading misinformation, and and influencing people to do bad. How are you so sure that this research also doesn't do this towards the public, towards the community? Thus, I believe that we, the opposition, would take this debate. Thank you.
I thank the second speaker of the opposition for the reply speech just now. And now I call upon the government speaker to present the government's reply speech. Please welcome.
A very good morning, I bid to everyone again. We, the government, strongly agree with the motion, which is this House regrets the rise of social media influences. In this debate, we are discussing the consequences brought about by the fame, power, and popularity of social media influences. Firstly, allow me to clear up a few issues. The opposition, they keep putting words into our mouths. We, the government, we never mentioned that social media influencers, they spread misinformation or we never condemn the free will of social media influencers. We never mentioned that we are going to take away the free will. In this motion, we are discussing whether we regret the rise of social media influences. We are not saying that we are going to take away the free will. We agree that social media influencers, they have to spread awareness on social issues. We never disagreed. However, the negative consequences outweigh the positive ones because, as we have mentioned, number one, the success of social media influencers has turned out lots of unethical influences. Number two, Some of them indirectly instill a negative culture among followers. And number 3, again, some of them, the tendency of some social media influencers to portray unrealistic lifestyles is causing psychological problems among followers. These issues, they are shadowing the positive content available on social media. The opposition also mentioned that social media influences, they increase the economic growth. Once again, let me stress this, once again, as we have been repeatedly mentioning, we do not disagree that social media influences help increase economic growth. However, at what cost do these influences increase the economic growth? They buy fake followers, follower farms, and likes and comments. They deceive companies and followers alike to think that they are more influential than they really are. Is this the kind of society we want to live in? A society that's built on lies? They also mentioned that it is the parents' responsibility to regulate their children's activity. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, in this debate, we are discussing if we regret the rise of social media influences. We are not discussing whether regulating social media activity of teenagers, whether parents should regulate the social media activity of teenagers. If the opposition wants to discuss this, we can discuss it on another day. The government, we have no problem to discuss this. Ladies and gentlemen, the opposition never clearly gave us any facts that show that the positive content on social media outweighs the negativity. We, the government, we have shown you that the negative content outweighs the positive issues by giving statistics from real websites that prove the unethical behavior of some influencer is a problem in society. The opposition, on the other hand, they are being biased by ignoring the effects of the negative content. They have failed to prove that there are more positive than negative by saying that users know that there are influencers who are fake and they have been exposed. Before I take my seat, let me remind you that the government is not against social media influences. The government only regrets that these influences have such a huge sway over society to the extent that their every word and action can influence the decisions of a large majority of netizens. The huge power that they hold is as massive as it is dangerous. Before I take my seat, allow me to reaffirm the government's stand for today, which is the negative impacts brought about by the power social media influencers have over its followers far outweigh the positive ones. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the second government, for concluding the debate. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we will have a few minutes break while waiting for the adjudicators to finish conferring on the best speaker. We'll be right back.
boleh babe, dia ni, dia kecil. Okay, Cikgu Shamira, I think we are all ready. Can you turn on your mic, Cikgu Shamira?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hanif. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Uh, all right, before the Chief Judge announced the verdict of today's debate, I would like to introduce to you the man behind today's program, our tech person. Today's live debate won't be possible without him. He is Mr. Kamarul Arifin bin Rahmat. Mr. Kamarul, can you please show your face, Mr. Kamarul, and say hi to everyone? Hi, Mr.
Hi,
Kamarul.
hi everyone.
Thank you so much for today. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to call the Chief Judge for today's debate, Mr. Hanif, to announce the verdict of today's debate and also the Best Speaker title. Please welcome Mr. Hanif.
Thank you, Cikgu Shamira. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to everyone. Before I announce the result, I would like to congratulate both teams, SMK Perempuan Temenggung Ibrahim and SMK Tinggi Batu Pahat, for making it to the final round for the Tan Sri Datuk Sri Paduka Dr. Abdul Rahman Arshad Challenge Trophy English Language Debate Competition for 2021. Congratulations to all of you. A round of applause virtually, okay? Congratulations. Now, I would straight away announce the verdict, and we will do a briefing session and a feedback session with all the judges after we have ended this live session. Okay? So now let's announce the winners. Now, the best speaker, there are three nominations that we have. Muhammad Shazwan from opposition, Chua Pei Tung from opposition, and Sanjay Kumar from opposition. The judges have made decision. The best speaker goes to Sanjay Kumar from opposition, SMK Tinggi Batu Pahat.
Thank you.
Now the result. Margin with the margin 2.2. Judges 5-0. The judges have made decision that this house rejects the motion. The winning team is the opposition team, SMK Tinggi Batu Pahat. Congratulations, everyone. Thank you so much, Cikgu Shamira, and thank you so much to all the speakers. We will meet after this for the feedback session. Hand over to you, Cikgu Shamira.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hanif. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the House, I would like to thank everyone, the debaters, the judges, the viewers on YouTube. Thank you so much. You've been amazing. And I would also like to congratulate all the debaters on your performances today. Ladies and gentlemen, this debate is now concluded. Thank you very much. See you next time.
Thank you.